Imagine a crowded arena, the smell of dust and sweat in the air, and a fervent crowd holding its breath as two gladiators face off in a life-or-death duel. What drove a man to enter this stage of violence and glory voluntarily? And how was it possible that, amidst so much blood and brutality, some figures could capture the imagination of an entire empire? Today, we delve into the fascinating story of Tetraites, the gladiator who conquered Pompeii and crossed borders, becoming a true icon of Roman culture. He was not just a fighter. He was a legend who etched his name in history, facing opponents and defying mortality itself. Join this epic journey and discover how Tetraites became one of Rome's most celebrated gladiators. In a world where every victory could mean life and every defeat, death, Tetraites entered modern history when, in 1817, archaeologists discovered his name in the ruins of Pompeii, a city frozen in time by the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD. On Pompeii's walls, graffiti and inscriptions revealed that he was widely celebrated, showcasing the cultural impact gladiators could have in ancient Rome. These inscriptions were not only marks of his fame, but also indicated how much the Roman people revered their gladiators. In a world where daily life was marked by violence and competition, gladiators like Tetraites were seen as heroes and celebrities, admired for their combat skills and bravery in the face of death. It was as if every victory in the arena symbolized a victory for the people themselves, who saw in these men an expression of the Roman ideal of courage and sacrifice. One of the most memorable fights of his career was against Prudes, a battle so significant it became famous not only in Pompeii but throughout the empire. This fight was documented on glass vessels, where Tetraites' victory was proudly engraved and spread across the Roman world. These vessels have been found in places as distant as France, England, and Hungary, showing that Tetraites was much more than a local figure. He had become a kind of emblem of Roman entertainment, with his fame spreading through trade and legions crossing borders. These vessels show that Tetraites' triumph transcended time and space, being revered in various parts of the empire. It was rare for gladiatorial fights to be immortalized this way, suggesting that the combat between Tetraites and Prudes was extraordinarily impactful. A true spectacle that captured the imagination of the masses. Tetraites fought in the Murmillo style, one of the most robust and iconic gladiator classes. The Murmillo wore a distinctive helmet with a fish-like crest that covered his entire face, leaving only narrow slits for the eyes. His armor included a large rectangular shield called a scutum and a short, sharp sword called a gladius, ideal for close combat. This setup made the Murmillo a formidable opponent, representing strength and defense, and was commonly paired against gladiators of contrasting styles, like the retiarius, who was armed with a net and trident, symbolizing agility and dexterity. This contrast in styles made each fight a dance of strategy and endurance, and Tetraites was a master at using these tactics to dominate his opponents. But there was something that distinguished Tetraites from the others: his audacity. Unlike most gladiators, he chose to fight without a chest plate, a choice that exposed him to immense and unusual risk. At a time when any additional protection could mean the difference between life and death, this choice was a declaration of courage and self-confidence. The crowd adored him not only for his skill but also for his boldness in throwing himself into danger without reservation. This lack of chest protection gave him an almost heroic aura, as someone who did not fear death and, instead, challenged it with every fight. It also symbolized a certain degree of complete dedication to combat, a trait the public revered, as it reflected the Roman ideal of bravery and sacrifice. With his victory over Prudes, Tetraites cemented his status as a kind of folk hero. He was more than a gladiator. He was a cultural icon, whose feats were celebrated in sculptures, paintings, and inscriptions on Pompeii's walls. His popularity represented the Romans' need to idealize figures of courage amidst the violence and death that permeated everyday life. Just as the Romans recorded Tetraites' greatness for future generations, you can help keep this story alive by leaving a like. Gladiators like Tetraites provided relief from social tensions, turning terror and brutality into a spectacle that fueled popular imagination. This fascination with gladiators was a form of collective catharsis, an escape for a society where war and violence were ever present. However, Roman society had an ambiguous relationship with gladiatorial games. These combats played a central role, not only as a form of entertainment, but as a political tool for emperors seeking to keep the masses controlled and entertained. The philosopher Seneca himself criticized this practice, claiming it corrupted the public's morals and encouraged a dehumanizing view of life. He saw the games as a reflection of moral decay and the insensitivity of the Roman people, who watched violence as if it were a trivial spectacle. This dilemma between entertainment and ethics was part of the very essence of gladiatorial games, where human life was reduced to a currency in the name of spectacle and politics. Tetraites' fame, however, was not confined to Pompeii. Thanks to artifacts and accounts of his victory, his name became known in various regions of the empire. Through trade and Roman legions, his image was carried to distant territories like Gaul, Britannia, and Pannonia. Artifacts that narrated his battles were bought and transported by merchants and soldiers, crossing borders and bringing with them the memory of this gladiator. This international fame demonstrated that, beyond being a local figure, Tetraites represented the Roman spirit across the empire, symbolizing the valor and sacrifice that were part of Roman identity. As his popularity grew, so did the pressure on him. The public and sponsors expected nothing less than continuous victories, and each fight was a battle not only for glory but for survival in a world where failure could be costly. Tetraites lived a life of highs and lows, on a constant roller coaster of glory and risk, where each combat decided his future and defined his place in history. This journey of triumph and sacrifice is what makes his story so fascinating, a true reflection of the brutality and beauty of Roman culture. The end of Tetraites' story is shrouded in mystery because, like many gladiators, his exact fate was not recorded. However, it is possible to imagine that he continued to fight in the arenas, accumulating victories and popular admiration. With the fame he achieved, Tetraites may have attracted the support of powerful sponsors and, perhaps, even obtained the longed-for Prudes, the wooden sword that symbolized his release from the life of the arenas. If he received this honor, Tetraites may have ended his journey as a free man, living the rest of his days away from the dangers of the arena, but forever carrying the scars, glory, and respect of one of ancient Rome's most legendary gladiators. If he remained in the arena until his last days, Tetraites undoubtedly met his fate fighting with the same courage that immortalized him in the hearts and memories of the Roman people. Tetraites' journey embodies what it was to be a gladiator in ancient Rome, a man who, by facing mortal dangers, won the heart of a people who saw in spilled blood a form of entertainment and purification. If you are intrigued by this incredible story and want to learn more about the Gladiator universe and its complexities, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think would be the greatest psychological challenge for a gladiator facing the arena? Don't miss the next video, where we will showcase the top 10 most famous gladiators of the Roman Empire. Just click the screen to keep watching.